This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Not just any Off the Rails Friday.
No?
No.
Oh.
That's the green one.
Oh, yeah. I see you're wearing your
I
green.
got a little green.
I greened it up a bit.
Sammy, you sporting a little green today?
Yeah.
He's got the St. Pat's bucket on back there. He's all in. Leafs green.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. What's going on? Hello? Can you talk to me now?
Yeah,
Test 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Yep. Checking.
Bueller.
Yeah. I just hadn't turned up my headphones.
All right.
I love St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day was my favorite day of the year when I was in college and had all those friends and, you'd go drink a bunch of beer and enjoy yourself. It was the best day of the year. And this is very anecdotal, but it felt like maybe every third or fourth year, it would be like 20 degrees outside. And it would be like, this is the first day of summer. And the cold weather.
Was that a dangerous day for you in your other life?
That's amateur night for Bourne.
Well, it is. And see, that's the thing. And there are people like myself who my local pub was overrun with you noobs who didn't drink every single day.
Get out of my way, amateurs.
Yeah, they actually took the seats out of my local, so it was standing room only. It was the worst day to be at the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a phase, don't get me wrong, where I was like, hey, I have cover for how much I want to drink. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is Justin Bourne. I'm Nick Kypreos. That is Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Dave Sis. Should I always do boom ba? Like, I'm starting to think, if your mom's listening, that's not his name. That's what my wife says. Like, what do you think his mom wants to hear you say boom ba every time you mention his name? I'm like, I didn't really know. I didn't think about that. Well,
he has to, work long enough to get the courage up to tell you to stop. So that's.
I think he likes it, though.
Yeah.
I think he's okay with Dave Sis Boomba.
Listen, you once told me about a player in the Toronto Maple Leafs that he needs to play enough for me to have to learn his name. It wasn't my fault that I didn't know it. So
yeah, that's right. Get better.
Yeah, we'll know your name when you're better.
Give me a reason to remember your name.
Who was that?
Oh, I don't know.
Could be 20% of the league right now, please. So are you happy with the green uniforms? They're going to be sporting tonight, all green. You like those? I know you're a uni guy.
I love the fact that they still do this. I think if I am going to nitpick, I think it's time to reverse the colors again. They used to have it
more green.
Well, they used to have it be the green. Like back in the Sundin days, they did like a brown helmet with brown pants, brown gloves with like the solid green.
Their sticks were made of cabbage.
And it looked awesome. I always loved it. And I like the jerseys they do now, but I think they're kind of desperate for a new St. Pat's rebrand. They've been wearing the same one for probably 4 or 5 years now.
I don't feel like the green is Kelly green. It's a little neon, isn't it?
Yeah,
very bright green.
And the numbers on the back, they're really doing a lot with these. Yeah. I appreciate the fact that they still do it, honor their heritage on St. Patty's, but they could use
what do you
help.
think of the stitching on the jerseys? I'm kidding.
Way better than the black.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, that goes without saying. The Bieber ones, I think, are probably on the shelf forever.
Yeah.
Let's hope, at least. And then, yeah.
Bring back Tim Biebs. Get rid of the Bieber jerseys.
Agree.
Yeah.
We got a great show for you. Off the Rails Friday. We'll give you, in about 15 minutes, Justin Williams, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, special advisor to the general manager for the Carolina Hurricanes. Doug McLean at 3:45. Who knows where that's going to take us? And then we finish it off with Jason York, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right after the game, we'll head to Ottawa to play the Senators, who, I don't know, is it a meaningful game Saturday?
The meaningful games are over.
They wanted to play meaningful games down the stretch. We'll ask Jason York in the next hour, co-host of Coming In Hot Sens podcast.
Do you see that Avs game winner against Ottawa last night? The Lars Eller poked in icing goal.
Yeah, that was weird.
Can you recover off of that?
I don't think so. So they tried.
Let me ask you this. I know Matt Murray was there, and he wasn't popular amongst the fan base, and he's going to get the start tomorrow night. And I'm sure a bunch of his teammates had some feelings about the way last year went. Like, do you think there's added motivation going against him in that building, knowing how the fans feel about him, how some of the guys, how the coach talked about him? Like, I feel like it's maybe not meaningful toward the standings, but I feel like it might be meaningful towards that fan base and team to light them up.
It's Hockey Night in Canada. It's Saturday night. It's Ottawa, Toronto.
And he'll bring emotion to that game.
Matt
Murray. Oh, without a doubt. You don't get kicked to the curb like that with wanting to come back and jam it down their throats.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on. That's all pride right there for Matt Murray Saturday night. So we'll ask Yorkie on that, plus a ton more. So tonight, before we jump to the weekend, Carolina Hurricanes, they come in limping. Svechnikov is a big blow to this hockey club, guys. Any way you look at it, he's not Ovechkin, but he did Ovechkin-like things with a guy that could skate, hit, score. Toughest guy to play against, toughest guy to defend. No longer in their lineup.
Yeah, it's a big loss. By the way, I can't not hear his name and think of Ovi, who you also referenced, punching him in the mouth. But yeah, I mean, that's the massive loss. It definitely is incumbent on them and proving that they can win in other ways. The Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup in 2006 as a collective team, right? That's the whole thing. No real superstars. And that's kind of where they're at now. They got a lot of very good players. They're extremely deep. Their defense is the best in the NHL, period. So yeah, they're going to have to win it that way rather than outscoring teams.
I think it's also, if you have a ticket to the Leafs game tonight, you might be in for something wild. Leafs and Hurricanes play exclusively wild games,
which is strange.
In this building,
like Zamboni driving stuff.
They played a game where the Leafs were down 3 twice and won. I think it was like 8-6. They won the final. Mitch Marner scored a goal right off the face-off. Jim Ralph said it was the worst timeout in the history of sports by Rod Brindamore. There's some wild games there. So I could picture it being a little bit, a Friday night, greased up crowd, wearing green. I could picture it being a little wild tonight.
Love it. Let's do it.
All right, let's go to our first Kippers Clipper on our Off the Rails Friday. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. I feel like poor Morgan. We've really just chewed him up.
No, we did not.
We've chewed up the topic, not Morgan himself.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think we've been hard on him. I think
we've been fair.
Okay. I do too.
We know there's more, a lot more that Morgan can give.
Well, let's see what the coach thinks.
Let's do it.
Very consistent in his approach every day. I don't think it's phased him. Obviously, the biggest thing that would probably weigh on him, is not scoring. Puck not going in, and you're a guy that has that ability, has produced in the past, and that the team relies on him for those types of things, power play, 5-on-5, whatever it might be. Yeah, I think that's the fact that he's remained consistent, goes about his process the same, and knows what he needs to work at. He's very honest about his game. When I've met with him and chatted with him, Morgan really wants to win, really wants to help our team, and he knows that he plays a big role in that. So he's extremely committed to being at his best.
You hope that Morgan kind of follows little Austin Matthews look in terms of Big 34 is getting stronger.
Right about now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. First off, Sheldon mentioned that when Morgan comes in, he's very honest about where he's at. He's a really likable guy. Like, I do find he's very forthright. Yeah.
A few years ago, he could have been the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
For sure. He very well could be. And he seems like he's a leader, and he mentioned he wants to win. He's all these things. You can't help but root for Morgan Riley. So, yeah, I hope he finds that. He scores last game. He builds on that and finds a little bit of momentum. Obviously, it would go a long way for the team, having him be the better version of himself.
No Justin Hall in tonight. Luke Shen comes in after a extended leave of absence as his wife had a baby, in addition to the family. You assume that's out of the way now, and he can now focus on getting ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, I'm certain it's out of the way. I don't think it'll happen again while he's with her or with the Leafs. I think we're in the clear.
No, the distraction. That's all.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Don't call him up if the baby's crying.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a relief for him to get away from that environment. He'll probably sleep better here than he would have in Vancouver. So, yeah, important to get him rolling and feeling good and being a part of it.
Somebody asked him this morning, and this is the answer that he gave. I'll just give some context. Like, if he has to worry about Luke Shen, coming into the lineup and doing too much, is what somebody, I think Dave McCarthy asked him that, which I thought was fair because, it's like a guy that's coming in here second time around trying to prove it, and the answer he gave was this. I just wanted to give some context to the clip. So if you want to hear that clip right now, it'd be great.
I chatted with Luke a bit yesterday. It was more so about reminiscing about the facility and the city and stuff, that things have changed, how things have changed since he was here last. But, I mean, a guy like Luke Shen is still playing and, has had the type of career he has because he knows exactly who he is and what he needs to do. I'm not concerned about Luke trying to do too much.
No, this is not a dangling backhand toe drag type defenseman.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he'll dictate how much he's going to ask from him with his minutes.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think of is if the tendency is to do too much when you ask for too much.
Yeah.
Where is he going to fall in? He's a third pair guy for me.
Yeah.
So his league average of ice time on a really bad team for the most part of this season. I don't care what they're doing right now under Tocchet.
Bad.
But they were not very good in Vancouver. Is close to 16 and a half, 17 minutes?
Yeah. Whatever.
Do we expect Luke Shen to provide Sheldon Keefe as early as tonight, 17 minutes?
I'm not saying he's never going to play 13 minutes, but I bet you when we sit here and unpack the season, Luke Shen's average time on ice is under 13 minutes. Like, I bet he's a 12 and a half minute guy, plays 5-on-5 and kills penalties. But you're right. If you're asking him to be Morgan Riley's D partner, I think the Leafs are in trouble. Do we know if they're going 12-6 tonight? Have we?
Oh, it's 11-7 again.
It is 11-7.
Yeah, so Gustafsson still in, and Hall's going out.
It is interesting that Justin Hall, we both agree, has played more physically and more involved lately.
I've liked Justin Hall more in the last, since the trade deadline.
Yeah. It's like he's aware, like it's a battle to stay in. His next contract hinges on how he's used here in this postseason. I don't blame them for saying he's one of the guys who can take a break. You got guys on the right side. Liljegren's got to come in.
To me, it's such a mixed message that
it's like now you're starting to bang, and it's like,
you go to this guy and you say, I want 22 minutes, and he gives it to you. And on some nights, it's not bad.
And he may come in the next game and he won't play 13. It'll be 22.
I would not have him out of the lineup for Gustafsson. I just wouldn't.
No.
He does way too many important things to the Leafs to have him out of the lineup for Gustafsson, who's been playing 10 or 11 minutes a night for the Leafs.
And I don't even really know what Gustafsson's situational use is.
Justin
power play.
Yeah, PP2, which is 20 seconds per 3 power plays a game?
No, I bet you Sheldon's going to start pulling somebody off. Morgan, you got a minute.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have him playing power play time, significant power play time, it doesn't make sense to me because, as you mentioned, Hall plays big minutes. He kills. He's out in the final minute of the game protecting leads. He matches against top guys.
There is only one reason for 11-7, and that is Sheldon's nervous about his power play from the back end, i.e., Morgan has not found his spot on a top power play in the NHL. I think this is all pointing towards feeling a little insecure about Morgan's spot on the power play.
I also think it's not just that, Kyper. It also has to do with the Ryan O'Reilly and them not being completely convinced that Steves or Simmons or all those guys, the options that they want
easily go 12 forwards, put back Pontus. It's easy.
No, I understand, but
pontoon boat.
I think there's no. Listen, you're right, but I don't think it's the only reason they're doing 11-7.
Yeah, but there's
no one else.
They want to keep Gustafsson.
They don't have a backup power play guy.
No.
Yeah,
he is
about the power play.
Yeah.
Come on. Morgan gets hurt.
Give him first
left?
unit reps.
5 forwards, guys, because they don't have a second guy on the power play. 5 forwards.
Got to give him some reps. So, yeah, let's keep an eye on that tonight. Let's see how much power play ice time Gustafsson gets. I'm going to say he shoots one in the net on the power play this weekend and complicates things for all of us and for Sheldon.
Well,
nothing's ever easy in Leafland.
and with his power play unit, sometimes the guys will come off, a couple guys will come off early and some guys will stay out longer and like it's a mixed bag or whatever. Like you mentioned, I could really picture that being after a minute. They'll be like, hey,
He's the sixth.
You're going out there, Gustafsson, for a minute. So
I don't know if you saw the Oilers power play goal last night. Connor McDavid comes up the flank. He's skating with the puck. Someone fills in behind him. He drops it back to the same flank, goes around the one PK guy and gets it right back in the slot in the middle of the ice and just shoots it in the net from there. Like their movement is so good. The way they work it and make penalty killers make decisions. Still an issue here. I know the PK
Leafs have top numbers, but there's some times when it gets slowed down.
They get stopped.
on Morgan's stick and sometimes even Tavares' stick. Like Tavares, his strengths in front of the net, redirects, rebounds.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure you want him to hold on to the puck and start dictating plays.
131 points in 69 games now for Connor McDavid, 57 goals, 74 assists.
He's good.
Yeah, quite good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wild. Okay, we're running out of time. We have lots of clips to go.
Okay, let's go to this one because this is a conversation that we had in depth the other day, and that is Tampa catching the Leafs in the standings.
88 to 89 points right now.
Oh.
Let's go to Sheldon on his thoughts on the pressure of Tampa Bay.
Sure, I think it's that time of year. You're keeping notice of what's happening around you, but you don't lose focus to what's most important for us, which is to feel good about our team, have our team healthy and ready to play in the playoffs, and that's really it. Obviously, you want to clinch your playoff spot and get that taken care of. We're in terms of home ice, we're in a position, right now where we have the edge, and you want to maintain that through good play and good habits, and all those things should take care of itself. But the thing that's most important to us is feeling good about our game and being healthy as we get ready to play.
Not wrong.
Nope. You want to feel good? You want to be healthy? That's good. But
but
yeah, at home ice is crucial. So I mentioned Toronto's 89 points, Tampa 88. The Leafs do have 2 games in hand there. So they get a couple cracks to get some extra points and put some separation. But the Devil, we've been talking about Tampa Bay and their struggles. They go out and beat New Jersey, who's, damn near, first, second in the Metro all season long, back-to-back games. So look out, Tampa. Playing well lately. All right, let's listen to Keefe on their priorities heading into the playoffs. That work for you?
Yep.
All right.
Each area, I think, you want to really tighten up and be sharp in. And then each opponent, each game brings different challenges and different opportunities. But, obviously getting healthy with O'Reilly in particular will allow a lot of things to really fall into place for us in terms of how our lines look and how we roll out our team. Right now, things are a lot more in flux, since O'Reilly's been out. So that in itself is one thing that you'd like to get solidified. The other part of it for me is whether it's power play, penalty kill, your even strength details, playing with leads, handling different adversity. Like the other night, it's such a tight game, and one thing here or there can make the difference. You want to be really sharp in those areas, and we were okay the other night, but didn't get the second goal. So like just those little details that you want to feel good about. But the other thing, I think, if we've learned anything, is you get your game feeling good and all of that.
There you go.
All right. And safe to say that no matter what the circumstances are tonight, you don't play Mitch Marner 30 minutes.
I think that's a safe guess.
I think
Yes.
that's fair.
Yeah. It's interesting talks about getting the game feeling good. Like, they got to get comfortable when it's feeling bad. This can't be when the Leafs are going good, they're winning. They're a very, very good team when they're on their game. But
What does feeling bad mean to you? Like
Yeah, good
last
question.
night or 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
it's a game
when it's not coming
where
easy,
you got to find,
when it's just like,
Sure.
you just
And it wasn't coming
can't
easy.
get to the parts of the ice you want to get to.
Like-
You're frustrated. Where they have 13 shots through 2 periods or something.
We talked at the top about Carolina's defense being so stingy, and those numbers are off the charts.
Yeah.
But what I saw out of Colorado 2 nights ago was pretty darn close.
Yeah, they
Very
closed it up
stingy.
through the middle.
And that's when you got to find different ways, either with secondary scoring or your stars come through.
For sure. Yeah, you mentioned Carolina's defense. They're first in shot attempt, shots on net, slot shots against, slot passes, OZ possession time, cycle chances. They give up nothing. They're the best team in limiting quality chances, expected goals against. They're the best defensive team in the NHL.
And they've got some big, strong guys, mobile guys, but they wouldn't be considered game breakers like they saw the other night, like McCarr,
right?
Or to a lesser extent, maybe a McAvoy, those type of guys.
Yeah, Colorado gets more points from its defense than any other team in the NHL. That's not Carolina, but Slavin and Pesce and those guys, they play defense. Like defense man. All right.
Just like we said, we'll bring in Justin Williams, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, special advisor to the Carolina Hurricanes. We're just talking about your club, Justin. First and foremost, thanks for joining us, man.
Pleasure. Happy to say hi.
Yeah. So, listen, we know all season long Carolina gets mentioned as a contending team, but what has been the psyche since losing a guy like Svechnikov to your lineup here moving forward?
Well, I mean, listen, it's quite deflating. When you take a person like Fetch out of the lineup, and on top of that, Pacioretty before then. So obviously pretty frustrating, down for the team, but certainly down for the individual as well, as such an important player, both in our dressing room and on the ice. So you feel for him. You also feel for the guys in the dressing room not being able to have him to lean on. But we got to move on.
Yeah, I guess that's the only option. I was writing an article today about the type of chances that are available in regular season versus the playoffs. Did you as a player feel that it was significantly different, the type of way you had to play to create looks?
I did. I mean, I think typically it usually, kind of back when I played a little bit, even though it wasn't that long ago, it seemed like it was a little bit tighter checking. Refs kind of let a little bit more go than they would. But I think it's kind of changed a little bit now that they're trying to keep the standard same as, the regular season, and they're not trying not to change things very much. So a power play is a power play in the regular season, and a power play is a power play in the playoffs as well. So I guess to answer your question, yes, I did find it a little bit tougher to score goals. Teams are a little bit more dialed into every single zone in the ice, and that especially means the defensive zone.
Justin, we know when players go down, coaches say, hey, opportunities. Who's the first guy on the roster you think about that can step up now in absence of Svech?
Well, I mean, I think we have quite a few guys who are trying to make that next step, from star to superstar, from role player to, everyday player, and certainly from good player to great player. And I think a player that can certainly step up is a player like Seth Jarvis, even though it's the second year in the league. Jesperi Kotkaniemi. We have some guys who are we feel are ready to make that next step. We just called up Jack Drury from Chicago. We're not just calling up these players to be there. We're calling them up to have impacts, and we believe players like that, on top of obviously Jordan Stahl, he's had another great year, another solid year in his line of skate together the whole year with Jesper Fast and Jordan Martinook. And obviously you need your best players to continue to be your best players and carry the load. And we know we have some guys who are going to be dialed in on that as well.
Yeah, so I imagine when you lose some top guys, the plan is to kind of win a Stanley Cup the way that you guys did in 2006, right? It's got to be sort of a collective team effort. how do you go into a series or a game with that sort of mindset? That is it just a matter of trying to be more patient? Like, do things change when you don't have elite superstars in the way you want to go after a game?
Well, I mean, it's obviously tough. We already talked about Svetch and Pacioretty, but you look at that and you think at the start of the season you're banking on those guys for 60 goals between the two of them. You take that out of the lineup, that's a significant chunk of game breaker mentality that can perhaps change the momentum of a series and could score at any moment, right? But
Yeah.
I've said this, and I've said this at times that it's not the best team that wins the Stanley Cup Finals. It's the team that's playing the best.
Yeah.
And when I was in Washington, it was probably the most talented team I'd ever been on. And it was the year before Washington went on to win the Stanley Cup. It was the most talented roster I'd seen. Up and down the lineup, from the goalies all the way to the forwards. It was so talented, but we didn't end up winning. We didn't get out of the second round. But you go to the teams that I won with in LA and obviously Carolina in 2006. I think you can make the argument that there were some maybe more talented teams on paper, but we were playing the best and played the best of the team at that time, and we're able to win. So, that's what we're looking for. We're a team that's played well all year, and I expect that to continue throughout the playoffs.
We're talking to Justin Williams, the Carolina Hurricanes special advisor to the general manager. Justin, it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of goaltending situation kind of plays out. We know you got Freddie Anderson. Ranta's there as well, but it's been well documented that they're done contractually after this season. And then you got this young kid that highly touted in Kochetkov, if I pronounce that correctly. And oh, by the way, can we set up a Binnington Kochetkov
Let's go.
pay-per-view? How do you see it playing out?
They're both pretty feisty. How do I see it playing out? Well, I think when you look at it, obviously, when everybody's healthy, Freddie's our number one. Freddie's our guy. But you could see it last year. We have guys that can just step right in. Ranta carried the load last year during the playoffs, and he played spectacularly. And if something goes down where both guys are out, you have a really good option in Kochetkov, who is a battler, who's a great kid. He's really he's infectious to be around. Just his personality, how he carries himself. He's always seems happy and go lucky and feisty and ready for the battle. And you have that option as well. So as you said, how do you see it playing out? I think we're just going to let it play out and see what happens. But we don't feel that that's a part of our team that's lacking in any kind. I don't think we're going to go into any series thinking, that's where the other team has the advantage.
No, and whoever it is in net is going to have an easier job than a lot of other goaltenders by basically any metric. You guys are first or second in all defensive categories. You keep a lot of pucks out of the net. Do you attribute that to just, hey, we got good defensemen? Is that, hey, we have a coach that preaches a hard-nosed system? Like, how are the Hurricanes so good at keeping pucks out of their net?
Well, I think it starts with structure, clearly.
Yeah.
That's 1A. And secondly, it follows up with good leadership, with a good culture, with this is the way we do things, and if you're not going to do it, you're not going to play. We obviously have great defenseman as well. I don't want to slight that as well. I mean, we have, Jacob Slavin, who is just the best defensive defenseman in the league, in my opinion. And, we have a lot of guys that complement him as well. We play really well defensively, but at the same time, your goalies, they don't necessarily have to make all the saves, but they have to make the saves at the right time. And if you can get timely saves in a playoff series, you're going to be off and running.
As someone that has had great success in the latter part of your career, you must have a great appreciation for Brent Burns and what he's been able to do since coming over from San Jose.
Yeah, I have a huge appreciation for him. I mean, when you talk about what the Carolina Hurricanes aspire to be, hard-working, gritty, shooting pucks, just relentless team. I mean, he epitomizes all of those things. And off the ice, he is one of the hardest workers, and came into our training camp with, at his age, being one of the best in shape guys. I mean, that is part of the culture that we have developed here over the past handful of years, and he really epitomizes that just absolutely perfectly. And you talk about infectious personalities. I mean, he's a hoot to be around, and he's always trying to get better. I think he's just fit in unbelievably. And when we had the option to get him over the summer, I was one of the guys that was just pushing so hard to try and make that happen. It's
funny you mentioned culture a couple times with that group, and we often hear former players talk about how important the room is and having a good room, and we're all really close in here. How important is that stuff? You've won on different teams. You've failed on teams that you said had lots of talent. Like, how important is it? Can you win with a group that doesn't get along?
Well, I mean, I don't have an experience in winning with a team that doesn't get along.
Yeah.
That's hard to say. But I mean, listen, it goes through. I mean, everybody talks about it, right? It's such a word that just kind of gets thrown around. Yep. And this is what we want. This is what we're trying to build, right? And sometimes you roll your eyes, but sometimes you're like, wow, these guys actually have it. And you look through any sport, right? Any sport. You look at the New England Patriots in football, just kind of what they had been able to do. You look at the Boston Bruins, what they're doing now. Are they the luckiest team in the league? No, they have a great culture and great leaders, and they're good year over year over year. It's not that they're the luckiest teams in the world and they're just getting great performances. It's what they've instilled year over year and what they've learned and what they pass on to the others. That really is a culture. It's not built in one day. It's built over time and continued success.
And then there's that Rod the Bod Brindamore factor here, and just what he's been able to do over the last few years to set the tone. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think everybody kind of knows what he's all about, and everyone that comes here, just glows about how they love playing for him. He's honest about everything, and he speaks with his emotion that you really feel, and the fact that he's in the gym before you every day too kind of helps it along as well. Yeah, it certainly helps build the lore of Rod the Bod. So how important is winning the division? You guys are a point up on the Devils right now. Is it one of those things where you just got to get in? A lot of people think, I know your Kings team's had some success doing that. Is it crucial or just get in? Well, I mean, listen, we're looking to try to get the number one seed, no doubt. Do we feel that that's going to, allow us a better opportunity to win? I don't know. We're going to face a heck of a team in the first round, and as you guys know, it's tough to get in, and that first round, it always seems to be one of the toughest to get by. I know I'm speaking to the choir.
Yeah, right. Show for that, bud.
Toronto Network. I'm on a Toronto Network right now, so I get it, and I know all the fans get it around there as well. But it really, really is. I mean, everybody is as healthy as they're going to be throughout the playoffs in that first round, and it's go, and it's hard, and getting by that first round is really tough. And yes, we're trying to get first overall. We're trying to get first in our division, and that's what our goal is.
Hey, how's owner Tom Dundon doing? If you guys get to a semifinal of a final, he's going to have to loosen up the purse strings. You know that, right? He knows that.
I mean, what do you mean by purse strings? Everybody kind of says that, but I'm just like, we had never been a cap team before he became the owner. We had never spent to the cap. And now we're spending over $80 million, and everyone's like, wow, the purse strings are a little tight. That's kind of the
all right, so it's working.
Like, he spends on the players, and that's really what the players want. That you want a winning team, you want a guy that spends on players and getting the best players, and ever since he's come here, we've done that, and now it's kind of becoming a place where players want to come and play. And I don't know if I could say that 10 years ago, where in free agency or in trades, players are asking to come here. And I think we've really created something as soon as he's spent to the cap and became owner.
Well, it's looking that way, and the proof's on the ice, Justin. Really appreciate your time, man. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks
Best
so
of luck.
much.
God, he was so good in his career too. Like, just take a look at his numbers. They're just so steady and just
He was
the
just in the
ultimate
right
the last
position all the time.
2 years, I think the second last year, he still had like 50 points and 20 plus goals.
I got to say, boys, if there was one stat that I could have in all of sports,
Game 7 stat.
being the all-time leader in Game 7 goals would be high on that list of stats.
Yeah.
Like that is a big boy stat.
He was even in on a couple that he didn't score. Like he's a part of it in Game 7.
He had 7 career Game 7
It's
goals.
just
Goal a game in Game 7s. Not
see,
too
everybody's
bad.
holding their breath. Then he's taking nice deep breaths.
So the analytics community trying to make headway in the world and to be taken seriously and to people to listen, respect it, whatever. Some of the early stuff was like clutch doesn't exist. The stats say there's no such thing as clutch or whatever. And it was like, well, you've ruined the whole thing because now you have no credibility. You can't say it doesn't. Some people have ice in their veins and they want the puck in those moments and they thrive, and other people can't get off the ice fast enough and they shrink. And there's not enough sample size to measure it, but there is no doubt that people react differently to pressure, and that man thrived in it.
It is. He's Mr. Sunday if he was a golfer.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this guy only plays well on Sundays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I lied to you. He played in 15 Game 7s.
15.
Yeah. No, that's 15 points.
15.
9 Game 7s. Sorry. 9 Game 7s. He had 15 points. He's 8-1.
Yeah.
Like, listen, that's just not a fluke.
No, it's not a fluke.
That's not.
No.
He was not a 1.5 per game player during the regular season,
That's a guy that elevates his game. So
Yeah.
it's incredible.
But cool. I also think it's cool. Guys who win cups on different teams in different, really, I don't say eras, but I mean, 06 to, what do you win it in 2012? No, what did the Kings win it? Anyway, they were different time frames in his career. I think that's amazing to see the different types of teams that have success.
Okay, so he's played 1,264 games. He's had 797 points.
Yeah, so he's like a 0.7 per game guy, or points per game, 0.8.
162 playoff games, which is just, again, off the charts. 41 goals, 102 points. Is that not Hall of Fame,
That's an interesting question.
Why do we always just need to focus on the superstars? Why can't a guy like that go into the Hockey Hall of Fame?
That's a really good case to me of a guy who's like, he took teams from okay to winning cups.
Yeah.
What are we doing here if we're not trying to win cups?
Hall of Fame's about game changers.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
But Clark Gillies being in there, a lot of people are like, well, look at his numbers. It's like, well, it's not.
Did you
just
watch?
that. Yeah.
Can you think of a bigger name historically, game changer, than Mr. Game 7?
Yeah. No, I mean, I get what you're saying there. It's
All right, go, Sammy.
The top 10 points for Game 7s is a really interesting list. Justin Williams is number 1 all time with 15 points. Doug Gilmour, second.
Wow.
Mark Messier, third. Trevor Linden, fourth.
really.
Wayne
Glenn Anderson.
Wayne Gretzky, fifth. Patrice Bergeron, sixth.
Wow.
Glenn Anderson, seventh. Yari Curry, eighth. Paul Stastny, ninth. And Hendrik Zetterberg, 10th. And Wendell Clark just
games.
outside
That's
the
a good list.
Remember Marty Jelena the one year had 3 Game 7 game-winning goals?
I can tell you what Paul Stastny, he was 4-2.
4-2 in those, yeah. Well, hey, look at that. He's a difference maker. He won a cup, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm all over you right now.
So
hey, Google.
I went to most Game 7s played and Game 7 wins, and I accidentally clicked the opposite, so it's like 0.
Most Game 7 losses.
Our boy Jason Spezza, 0-6 in Game 7s.
Really?
Yes, sir.
That just bites.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Not like he is the issue, but it is unfortunate.
And number 2, Daniel Alfredson.
Everyone needs a
0-5.
smirk on your face.
And Wade Redden, 0-5.
So it's all Ottawa Senators?
I'm 1-0.
One game 7.
That's it. That's it.
So who will at least Mr.
only-
Game 7 be this year? When it
the most
inevitably
important
goes,
one.
When it
Yeah.
inevitably goes
Be
7.
1-0 in the minors.
Achari? Is
What's
Achari going to be Mr. Game 7 this year when it
Interesting
inevitably
stat
goes?
today. So I put an article out today, and I'll just say it really quickly.
Yeah.
But there's this cool stat that is inner slot shots with traffic, and it's all the most chaotic players in the league, like guys who are shooting the puck from the inner slot, but there's actually someone between the net, like it's jamming at pucks and it's chaos. As a stat, I was looking into this today. It's Brady Tkachuk, it's Tyler Bertuzzi, it's everyone you think it is, and Noel Acciari's 5th in the league.
I'm just noticing
Really?
more lately than like in a long time, certainly more so now than even in the beginning of the season. How many pucks are shot in that slot you're talking about? They just never reach the net.
Yeah,
Never.
well, everyone packs it in, right?
Constant blocked
Yeah.
shots and off sticks and into the mesh. And
know.
It's so hard.
So hard to get it through. You got to, I mean, first you got to get to that spot, let alone get there with that spot with the puck.
So the app that I built
yes.
has will Toronto get a shot on goal in the next 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And we give a clock on it, and I'm like watching, like I want my points, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you get it to the shoot it, get it to the net, but they don't. It doesn't get there.
Well, I know.
Does not get there.
You
And
fools.
that's maybe that's why I notice it more.
That's true. You're looking for it now.
Will
All
you
right.
will you have a next reward? Will the Leafs get over 5 inner slot shots against Tampa Bay in Game 7 this year? Will that be a next reward?
I don't know
Anyways,
what I'd pick.
Yes
Next
or
to
no?
break.
Yes or no?
Next
Yes.
to break.
Okay, we're gonna go to break. We're gonna bring back Doug McLean. It's Friday, baby. You know what that means? Off the rails. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne.
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
I gotta think Doug McLean gets bored all week just waiting for us
Think so?
to call him.
I don't think he does anything.
No, not really. Pickleball on maybe Monday.
There's pickleball league. They're blowing up the pickleball.
Did you hear that? Like pickleball is, they're predicting pickleball will be a big like 5 sport in like 10 years.
Yeah, the people investing in it. Yeah, funny how that
Let's
works.
ask Doug McLean.
Hey,
How
you
big's
doing?
your seniors league right now?
Well, I've got a big match Monday. I got a doubles match Monday morning with the pros, so I'm going to taking it up to another level. We had a lesson here yesterday at Boca del Vista. We had a lesson. The guy came in and gave us lessons.
Are there singles games? Do you ever play singles?
No, I don't play singles. There's too much moving. I said to the guy that was given the lesson, I said, first of all, I never took a lesson in golf. And every time, I said I've taken 2 lessons in golf, and after I had both lessons, I got worse, so I quit that. I took some lessons in hockey, and I quit that early. So why would I take lessons in pickleball? Seriously. So I watched. I didn't take the lesson. I'm not into the lesson scene. So anyway, But I got a big match Monday. But anyway, it's fine. It's a good sport. My heart rate got up to 160 the other day. I thought I better slow down. Carried away. But anyway, fine. It's good.
All right, I want to lean on your coaching experience here, and we've had a couple of examples of coaches just changing it up, and Sheldon's been going through this thing with his roster since Ryan O'Reilly got hurt. 11-7, 12-6, bingo bango balls. We saw Calgary, Daryl Sutter completely change it up, and it worked last night in Vegas. At what point when you coached did you have to witness before you kind of blew it up with your lines?
Well, you know what? I think it's funny, when every time I was sitting on an airplane, every time I was sitting in a bar by myself, I always had the napkin and the pen out and doing lines. I mean, you don't stop. And I remember Brian Murray and I'd sit in front of.
Hey, careful when you say that you're at a bar and you're doing lines.
Oh no, I meant line combination.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
But anyway, or on a plane, I'd redo the lines, I'd pass them back to Brian Murray, and then you're just constantly looking at lines. But here's what I don't like. I don't like this 11-7 combination. I think it really throws it throws you off sync as far as I'm concerned. And I know you do it every once in a while. I did it with Jason Woolley. I dressed him as a seventh defenseman, in the playoffs a couple of games, and you're nonstop fighting with line combinations, adding guys here, adding guys there. I think it's a distraction, and I think the quicker Sheldon can get to a 12-6, the better off he is. I really believe that. He's got to figure out who he's going to name or who he's going to put as his 2 depth guys for the playoffs for injuries, or 3 depth guys. I guess they have 9. 3 depth guys, and go with his guys. Go with his 12-6 for the last few games, or the last 6 or 8 games, and figure it out, because I don't think it's healthy going in there with guys, number one, not knowing if they're in and out of the lineup, and not throwing off your ice time for guys, and your line combinations are a mess. I don't get why they're doing it. But he's trying to get, it's like minor hockey. It's like, are the parents yelling at Sheldon if the guy says Gustafson's old man? Is Gustafson's old man, or are they yelling at Sheldon because he's not playing them, or what? Like, seriously, it's pro. Play the guys you want to play. I mean, the only guy that should be yelling at him is him and Dubas. But forget about the parents. Don't let them get to you, Sheldon.
So what else, if you're the coach of this team or you're looking at the Leafs, what else does he have to figure out? What's his job between now and playoffs? I mean, you got a lot of options between power play and goaltending, and as you mentioned, lines and D pairs. What is it right now that they need to get in order before the playoffs start?
Well, I think first of all, your defensive game has got to be in order, and I thought the Colorado game was a great example of how this team can play if they put their mind to it. That was a playoff style game. It was playoff style execution for the most part. I mean, I really, I thought it gave me some hope that they've got a good chance to beat Tampa Bay in the first round if they play that type of game. But I mean, you want your team you want to know exactly who your power play combinations are. You've got to figure out where Ryan O'Reilly's going to play. You've got to figure that out. Is he gonna go with a real solid third line with Ryan O'Reilly as a part of it to match up against Paul or whoever the matchup's going to be? Or is he going to try to go with him on a second line and then have a disjointed Tavares? I would hope he goes with Ryan O'Reilly on the third line, but that's just my own opinion. And get your lines combinations sorted out, get your deep pairings sorted out, and designate who your extra guys are going to be and get it going, because you got 10, 14 games left to make sure you're on top of your game and your power play looks, So,
Mac, I know over the course of the times that we've had you on the show, you're a big Morgan Riley fan. Last game he scored, skated pretty well. Is there anything that in his game that suggests that he can't get back to being the player that the Leafs signed?
You know what? I love this kid. I think he's a team first guy. I like the way he plays, but for me, he's a very, very good number 2 guy. He's not a number 1 guy for me, but he is the number 1 guy with the Leafs, and that's the tough part. Is he ever going to be what expectations want him to be? I don't think so, because I think he's as good a number 2 guy as there is in the league or in that group. He's in that group, but he's not a number 1 guy. So, they've got to hope that by committee they can equal, the Hedman and company group in Tampa Bay. But, winning a Stanley Cup, I remember one team that won a Stanley Cup without a big horse in the back end. That was when Carolina fluked the Stanley Cup. I mean, a fluke Stanley Cup win when they didn't have a number 1 defenseman. Is there anybody else? Am I missing anybody that has won the Stanley Cup?
Maybe Pittsburgh, the second cup. I think Letang wasn't around. If my memory hasn't been damaged too much.
Yeah, but they did have Sid and Malkin and Fleury and a few of those.
Yeah, they didn't play defense
you're right. But you're right. But very seldom as it happens. So I think Ryan Morgan is a great number 2 guy, and I think he's a really valuable part of this team. And he's been off a little bit here and there, but overall, he's going to be there at playoff time. He will be there at playoff time. They got to figure out what they want to do with McCabe and this Gustafson. I mean, I would take 1 or 2 of the new guys and put them in the lineup and go with it and see where they are, and let the other guys be the guys, eating the press room food,
Fair enough. We've chewed up the Leafs pretty good this week here, so maybe Kyper will take it back to him, but I'm going to ask you a question about something league-wide. Suspensions are way down this year, Doug. And I was a little surprised by that, and we spent a little time yesterday kind of theorizing why they may be down. Is it all the earlier suspensions finally mattering? Kyper suggested finances being the reason. Well, what are your thoughts on suspensions being down in the NHL this season?
Is there a player safety department?
It exists.
They still have one?
Yeah.
It's worked. Yeah. Everybody's safe.
Everybody's safe. I watch games, and I pray that I may see a hit. I pray that I may see a hit. How the hell are you going to have suspensions when nobody hits anymore? Or if you do hit somebody, you have to fight. So, what are they going to suspend guys for? Well, you get the odd spear and you get the odd slash, but they're only $5,000 fines. Or, you get John Tavares. I mean, John Tavares is the dirtiest player I've seen in the last 2 months. He slashed somebody the other day.
Criminal.
You know, come on, there's no contact, so how can there be a lot of suspension?
I want to get in more depth on this, but I might as well throw it up right now. And just the fact that the Quebec Hockey League, the junior Quebec Hockey League, is planning on banning fighting. Mac, is this just inevitable?
You know, I think, look, I used to sit in Board of Governors meetings and NHL GM meetings, and it was always a talk. Let's get fighting out of the game. Well, we got slashing out of the game. We got. Oh yeah,
Mac,
right.
are you feeding the birds
No,
in Florida?
There's a bird building a nest up top of my patio.
On your head?
No, it's just I'm outside. Jill put the run to make sure that I was too loud. Then she said I was too loud on the patio. So now I'm moving back and getting away from the birds. But you know what? I what were we talking about? So there's no fighting in the Quebec League. Here's the thing that bothers me about the Quebec League and fighting, and is you got 16-year-olds fighting 20-year-olds. I don't like it. And I understand that. I mean, college hockey hasn't had fighting. They run around with their cages on, slashing and hammering away at everybody. You know, I don't know. I saw Bubbles there, from the Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
He did a great excerpt on fighting. He said, I think there should be more fighting. I think you should give the boys a beer before the game, give them a cigarette, and then let them fight more. We need more fighting in hockey. That's Bubbles' feelings,
All right, for everybody joining us now from Sportsnet 590, we got Doug McLean, a former NHL executive. We got birds, we got Bubbles with Doug McLean.
Anyway, I don't care about the fighting in the Quebec League and junior. It doesn't bother me. I like it the odd time in the NHL, but it doesn't. People. I remember going to do luncheons in Columbus when we were trying to sell the game of hockey there, and that was the first question they said. What about all the fighting? And I said, well, last time I watched a baseball game, there was more fights in that than there was in any hockey games I've seen lately because of being in the batter. So, I mean, they want it out of the game, and eventually it'll be out of the game. They want it out. The league want it out, and eventually it's going to be out of the game. And, I don't know. They don't hit now. They're not going to fight. I don't know. We'll be able to take pretty soon we'll be able to take the equipment off.
We're going back to leather helmets. It's coming full circle. Give it a minute. Do you think I'm going to say the decline in that physical nature of the game, the aggression, hurts fan appeal? Like, I think that was a big part of what people loved about hockey. Will that hurt the game's ability to draw fans if it is purely speed and skill? I'm a hockey fan, and I really love, like, the Colorado-Toronto game. You love watching games like that. But, guys, there's too few of those type of games in the league. I mean, I talk to people that they say, Doug, we've lost interest. There's no passion. There's no physicalness. There's no, I shouldn't say violence, but there's no, the physical part of the game has disappeared. It's a skill game. Well, some people love that. I happen not to love it. I mean, I remember scouting in Europe. I'd go over and watch the Swedish Elite League play, and I'd go a week without seeing a body check over there. And it's hard on the head to watch it, but some people like it. So each to their own. I happen to find that the physical aspect of the game, I find it a real turnoff for me. I really do. I want to see some physical play.
They're turning our live game into a cartoon. Does that not scream we're out of ideas?
Oh, my God, they got ideas. Like, I sit in there and just shake my head at the ideas they'd come up with. Now they want to go to an 8-minute overtime, and oh, my God.
I didn't hear that one.
Bring it. Let's go.
Well, somebody said, yeah, we're going to have 8 minutes of overtime. God, I can't stand the first 5, I guess, is fine because they dipsy-doodle and they take it outside the blue line. Then they do a orchestrated line change. It's kind of exciting to watch the way they do it, but I don't want to watch 8 minutes of it. I want to see 3 rushes and score a damn goal and get it over with. But, they got ideas. They got idea people there in that league that you just shake their head, some of the stuff they come in with. Coley Campbell, his head must spin. Listen to the foolishness he has to listen to in that league office every week.
Leafs play Ottawa on Saturday night. The whole thing about Pierre Dorian was playing meaningful games this year. I'm not sure. Have they already? Will they still? Where's Ottawa with meaningful games?
Well, they played a couple of weeks of meaningful games when they were trying to get back in the race, and then they lose 5-0 in Chicago, and they lose in Vancouver, and all of a sudden and a couple other teams win, and they're basically out of it. Disappointing. I mean, I like their team. I like the look. You lose your number one goaltender, and things fall apart. It's really unfortunate because I would have loved to have seen that team get in the playoffs. I don't see them making it. They're not playing. These are meaningful games to help develop the kids. Jake Sanderson looks like a star out there. I was wrong. I had him as their number 2 defenseman last week with this show. He's their number 1 defenseman. The way this guy's playing, he runs their power play. He's got unbelievable talent. How is this guy a smart player like that? You played with his father, and I coached his father. Like, seriously, he is the opposite of Jeff Sanderson.
Sandy was good.
Sandy was a great skater and could score, but this guy has got a chance to be a superstar. And Sandy was a 40-goal scorer who could skate, but this guy is the total package.
Yeah, no.
Sandy was a great goal scorer and a great kid, but this guy's
you're right. He has a chance to be special.
He really does. And a lot of guys on this team. This Stutzel kid, he's gone to a whole nother level. We talked about him a couple of weeks ago. I think they're a fun team to watch. Brady Tkachuk is my favorite player in the NHL right now. I'd love to see them get in, but they're not getting in. And now they're all they're worried about is who's going to buy the team. So
who's going to own the team and what's it going to cost them, Doug? Where's your money at?
Well, if you listen to ESPN, I mean, they're on salary, I think, from the league, pushing the expansion in Atlanta and Houston, and it's such a joke listening to them talk about expansion. I mean, it's a PR job for Bettman is what it is from ESPN. I guess they're going to go. Will they go $900+ million? I guess. It's all about the real estate play in the new arena.
It is, but I'm hearing some billionaires are balking at the close to $1 billion.
I mean, can you imagine?
You can announce anything you want, right? But
yeah, we were involved to buy Tampa in 2008, and the price was $200 million, and it was unbelievable. And it's today for Ottawa, it's $1 billion now. Tampa today is worth $700-800 million, I guess, is what they say. Well, if Ottawa's worth $1 billion, as Gary says, the franchise have been way undervalued. Well,
they've been undervalued, but they make no money. It's very confusing for me.
Yeah, they're worth $1 billion, but they don't make it. They don't have any cash flow. It's amazing.
What are they,
isn't
Uber?
It? Good business. Good business. Yeah, they're Uber. No, they're not. They're Lyft. They're Lyft.
Oh, that's a great line.
Anyway,
good.
I hope they get $1 billion.
Hey,
Garriock, oh my God! Look, we're going to have to put Garriock in therapy if Ryan Reynolds doesn't get. Well, if Ryan Reynolds doesn't get this team, Garriock will have to go into therapy. There's no doubt about it. He's been talking Ryan Reynolds and marketing this and marketing that, and if he doesn't get it, oh my God, what are we going to do with Garriock? Seriously.
Well, listen, congratulations, man. You took this thing off the rails as good as anything you've done in a year. What did we learn today? That you got a bird's nest on your balcony. Bubbles is an authoritative voice on hockey fighting. And
sounds like he was keeping it on the rails at dinner some nights.
And then he used to do lines at a bar when he was coaching.
This is the first time I've been kicked off the patio because of birds and because I'm making too much noise for the neighbors. Then I go in and I'm kicked out of the inside because I'm taking too much noise for Jill. Like I said, where the hell am I supposed to do this show, Jill? I'm too, Anyway, okay.
Hey,
we'll see.
Great job.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug.
Yes, you do. No sincerity out of him whatsoever.
No, not at all.
All right.
But lots of opinions.
Lots of opinions.
And I think people know about me, and with our guests, I enjoy people who give us opinions. That was good.
Oh my God. I had to take my annual leak at 3:47 when I get the guest on. And I come back in and you're talking about doing lines at a bar. I'm like, what the hell? I've been gone for a minute.
With a napkin.
Yeah, he liked to do them by himself, he said.
Yes, by himself.
Yeah.
He's a closet line changer.
Not as social.
All right, anything you want to go there? Or?
Well, maybe we could talk about the fighting thing now, right? We mentioned the Q thing. We got a few minutes here. We could talk about that now.
Yeah,
Kipper's got something on
no,
this.
I don't.
No,
I don't.
You
No,
just
I
have
don't
an
have a
opinion?
thing. I don't have a thing. And I'm with Doug on the part where it's like, I'm not sure it's that big of a deal. In all
it's
honesty,
not going to be in the queue.
Yeah.
Okay. I think so. I played college hockey.
Yeah.
And, one time some kid was being, egregiously dirty. They still fought it. Someone still fought him and took their 1-game suspension. I could see that still happening. I don't think it's going to affect the Q's product all that much. But what I do think is that it will hurt the players developmentally who are in the league as long as fighting still exists in pro hockey. Because, you got to.
How many guys are we really talking about, though, that this will have a direct effect on, that they weren't groomed, that they didn't learn how to fight because they went
not
up.
learn how to fight, but learn how to play within a game where that is an element of reality, where there's intimidation, and if you slash or spear someone, that could be a consequence, and you have to kind of play a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But
I don't think it's going to affect the queue and the product. And
if you take a look already, what's going on, like the fighters in our league, they're going to disappear. Even more of them are going to disappear.
Yeah, there's
Lucic
no more fighters.
is leaving.
You have to be able to play.
Ryan Reeves will retire maybe
Tanner
sooner than later.
Janot leads the league in fights,
they're
and he had
not-
24
they're-
goals last year.
They're not being replaced.
No.
So they're not being groomed in junior anyways.
Yeah.
And they've already got tough laws where it's in the if I'm not mistaken, you're suspended after 3, I think.
Yeah, isn't it like a 10? I think it's maybe a 10
It's-
game. Is it?
It's 10 in American Hockey League, I think.
I thought it was 3 fights and you get suspended for a certain amount of games.
To me,
Yeah,
that's
one.
the way to do it.
One
If you had
game.
some guy who's
I thought it-
consistently a problem, he should get suspended. But
So-
if there's a game or 2 games
You
where
know-
things get weird, he should be able to.
I think there's bigger fish to fry for the Q than focusing on this. Like, there are no fights in the NHL, relatively speaking, to what we've had in the past.
Yeah.
I think there's one fight every 3.5 games, 4 games.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? No one's getting hurt doing it. Like, that's not an issue. It's not a safety issue. No one's getting hurt fighting. When was the last time someone got seriously hurt in a fight?
I would find it hard to believe we couldn't find instances of guys getting knocked out
historically.
This year, I'm sure people have been knocked out. I mean, I feel like I've seen people take big blows. Listen, here's my case for it:
They're just not doing it very often. That's all.
no, it's not that common. But like, if we educate the players in the risks associated with it, then to me it becomes like UFC or MMA or boxing or whatever. I realize it is MMA, but where it's like, if you decide you want to partake in this, there are risks associated with it. You're a grown up. You can make that decision. Where no one's going to force you to. If someone jumps you and you don't want to fight, they're going to be suspended the same as they were if fighting was
Did you
banned.
see Troy Stetcher last night with
Yes.
Cotter?
Yeah.
Great fight.
Great fight.
Why? Because it was real. It was
Just mad at
passionate.
him. Yeah.
He was
Didn't
mad.
like the way he was hit.
In the moment, mad.
Yeah.
Like what's gotten totally cleaned up is the George LaRock at the face-off. Hey, how you doing? Good,
Yeah,
good.
third shift of the game in the third period.
Family's good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to do this? Yeah, let's do this. No, it has to be spontaneous. It has to be because you're pissed off. It has to be because I'd rather do this than take my stick and crack you over the head, which I could easily do right now.
For sure.
Well, so then how quickly are the Dub and the O going to take this out?
Well, I think there's going to be pressure for
It's
sure.
tough with kids, man.
You know, in the queue, I don't know what's going on in the queue in terms of during the pandemic. I think there were some bailouts there. They got some money
Yeah.
back to them, and maybe there were some promises with the money. I don't know how it played out, but I think there's going to be pressure on the and the Western Hockey League
To do it now.
For sure there is.
Like, I think at the Doug nailed it. Like, with, I don't really need to go to a hockey game and watch 17-year-old guys wail on each other's brains.
I'm with you. I think
Listen, I
that's
grew
the
up.
right
I was a 20-year season ticket holder for the Owen Center Platers and Attack, and I went to games that lasted 4.5 hours because all it was fights.
Yeah.
I'd leave at 6 o'clock, go for dinner, I get home at midnight. Like, it was ridiculous. The amount of change that they've had over the last 4 or 5, like, maybe not even like 10 years.
All
It's
positive.
been all positive.
Yeah.
But, like, I still think that a passionate moment in a hockey game where the gloves can come off and that's a thing.
It's not a horrible thing.
No,
It's not.
and how about the reality that it's an entertainment product? Like, the NHL is trying to sell tickets and fill buildings to pay salaries and to keep the whole machine working. People are entertained by the passion you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, they are incentivized to want this in the game. From those, when it happens in a game, we come in here the next day giddy talking about it.
Listen, half our conversations this year is like, I wish the Leafs would respond.
Yeah.
When's the last Leafs fight? Did they fight
God,
this year?
great question.
I don't know.
Have they fought this year?
Oh,
I
definitely.
think Hunt fought.
Oh, yeah. Hunt.
Fun.
That's almost a
I'm going to
curse.
start. That's my
But
new faux
remember
swear.
he got smoked. He smoked Jack McBain from behind, and then Jack McBain
Yes.
came down the end and beat the crap out of him.
Oh, didn't Rasmus fight? He also got
Oh, yeah, the
thumped
game
by
we went
Wallstrom.
to. The
yeah.
game we went to. He fought Wallstrom.
Yeah.
All right, we should go.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We got Jason York to discuss Toronto and Ottawa. Matt Murray making his return. We're going to get an update on Jacob Chikrin and his early returns now that he's in Ottawa. Tons more. Jason York after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne.
From the City News 6 City Traffic Center, I'm Jasmine Graywall. This report is brought to you by Uber. If you are traveling eastbound on the 401, we're looking at slowdowns from Dixie Collectors to the 427 ramps. Also westbound on the 401, it's busy from Stevenson to approaching Salem. Westbound Gardner approaching Islington and the Collectors. Watch out for debris in the right lane. Apparently it's a roll of carpet. Toronto Transportation is sending someone over. Want to save on Uber rides and Uber Eats? Then sign up for an Uber One membership today. The One membership to save on rides and eats. See uber.com/Uber1.
Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
From one favorite to another, back to back on Friday, Doug McLean and Jason York. Like, come on, does it get any better for the Real Kyper and Bourne show?
No, sir. It's a perfect Friday.
Yorkie, you're like, Doug McLean's like the warm-up band for you.
Come on, that's pretty high praise because
Hey.
you and Dougie go back a long ways.
And he had a
longer-
bird in his hair today. In today's show, he had a bird. It sounded like he had a bird in his hair.
What?
Yeah, he did it from the balcony, and all we could hear birds in the background. It was off the rails.
Retirement community living.
Yes.
He's a bird sanctuary in his backyard. That's all.
He's like that. I'm watching this show right now on Netflix with Eugene Levy. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like it's called The Peculiar Traveler or something, where Eugene Levy goes up. The Reluctant Traveler. Is that what Doug McLean does now? Just travels all around as birds sitting on his head.
Yes, in an RV.
Him, eh? Yeah, that's him. I love it.
Exactly. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, no, just chilling out, hanging out with the dogs today.
We had an earlier conversation about Pierre Dorian and the mission of the Ottawa Senators, or at least their goal was to play meaningful games. And I'm not sure if this season's going to be remembered. Is there a cut line on when there were meaningful games or when there's not? Do they have any games left that are meaningful, including Saturday night against the Leafs?
I think that word, Kipper, is now banned in Ottawa. Meaningful games. People are so sick of hearing that term. I'll say this. When they beat Detroit on those back-to-back games, those were, I'm not even going to say it, those were important games. And those were kind of testers where they say, okay, what are we made of here? Here's a team that we're kind of right about the same spot here. Detroit, Ottawa, both rebuilding, both trying to get better. And then I thought Ottawa took a huge step. And then, you could blame it. Cam Talbot got hurt. They've got their third string, Solgart. Mandolizzi, their fourth string. It's such a big ask. It's a big ask to try and make the playoffs or to make a huge run with those two goaltenders. So, that last road trip they had, that really cooked their goose. But I will say this. The team still is playing hard, and I'll give DJ Smith a lot of credit. This group, they still make mistakes. They still make young mistakes. You look at their center ice position, they're really, really young guys. Down the middle, like it's Stützle, then it's Pinto, and then it's Kastelik, and then Gambrell. Like, they're just so young down the middle. So they still play hard. Are they still meaningful games? Yeah, they are, because I think this is a great time to evaluate. To me, you can't tell what kind of player you really have until you put them in a situation where there's a little bit of skin on the line. And they've had that the last little while. So there's a lot of players that I can say, yeah, I know what this guy's all about now.
So I want to talk about the next step with Ottawa, because I look at a lot of teams who tried to rebuild. They get bad. Like the Oilers did it for a while, and it's Yakupov and it's Hall and it's Eberle and it's all these guys, and it doesn't always come. It's not guaranteed to go from bad to having players to becoming a contender. So like the next step for the Ottawa Senators is curious to me, because we don't know ownership. We don't know like what they're going to spend or willingness to spend will be. What do you forecast for this Senators team in trying to turn the page from bad to the middle to what comes next?
So number one, Bernie, I think new ownership, whoever it's going to be here, they're going to be close to a cap team, if not a cap team. I think there's an appetite for whoever buys the team, because you're not going to spend $1 billion and come in and say, you know what? Now we're going to cut some corners, and we're not going to spend money. So they're obviously going to have deep pockets. So number one, I think they got to figure out what they're going to do in nets. You're not going anywhere in this league unless you figure out what you have in nets. And we can talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs later on that.
You guys want to trade for Matt Murray?
No, thanks. And so we'll see. I think the draft is going to be really important for them, Borny. Like, I still think, and this is just me, and people thought I was crazy, I think Alex DeBrincat is a huge piece to play at the draft. I just think they can they can really do something. If he doesn't want to extend, I think you can move him and get a couple really nice pieces. You look at a team like the Calgary Flames. If they miss the playoffs, they're just one team in particular. Man, they're going to be looking to make some moves. So, number one, goaltending, and then number two, I think they need another defenseman and a top six forward that plays on the inside, not on the outside. They need a guy that can play inside the dots and be a hard guy to play. It's just to add to guys like Tkachuk and Stutzla. But I think it's going to be really interesting with what happens if they brink it in the summer.
Speaking of goaltending, Matt Murray's slated to play tomorrow night unless he slips on a banana peel. How big of a return is that? How big of a storyline is that? How big of a win is that for him if he can pull it off?
I think I think for him personally, it's got to be a big game for him, right? Like going back to a team that was trying to get rid of you at all costs, just wanted you gone, wanted you away from the group, and you got a chance to come in and really stick a nail in their coffin. I would say it's a huge game for Matt Murray. As far as the Senators, I don't really think they're saying, "Hey man, we got to go out and beat Matt Murray tonight." I just think they're just treading water right now. They're hoping to beat Toronto. The last thing they want to do is lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs in their own building, where there's going to be a ton of Leafs fans. Of a game of, it's a big game for them because it's going to be like a nail in the coffin if they lose it. So the last thing they want to do is lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sure, they don't want to lose to Murray. I think it's a way bigger game, Kipper, for Matt Murray.
So let's say, the Senators are probably not going to make the playoffs. They're on the verge of being sold to someone else. They fell short this year. What is going to become of the people in charge of Pierre Dorian, of DJ Smith, and Jack Capuano, and Davis Payne? Like, is everyone going to stick around there through new ownership, or do you think it's just a fresh start when there's new ownership?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, Borny, but you guys know this as well as I do in this business. When things change hands, or for example, when a new GM comes in, what's the first thing he usually always does? He always brings in his own guys, right? Yeah. I don't want to say for sure I know what's happened. I can just tell you from what I know from history, and you guys know this too. Like, new owners are going to want to bring in their own people. It would be one thing if this team had been winning the last 5 years and things were like you were inheriting a Stanley Cup team or a team that's further along in the process. So I would my guess is there'll be an evaluation period. There'll be meetings, just like any business when the ownership comes in, and they'll make the decision. And I would have to think that they'll bring in their own people. And that's just what I've learned through the history of this league.
Gee, you really were hoping for the Ottawa Senators to have that push to keep them right in the thick of things, especially with the addition of Jacob Chychrun. It's not happening. But why? And, where's his play in your eyes since he's been traded there?
I like him, Kipper. He's been really good. I love the move because, number one, it gave him a little bit of a push. It brings some energy to the new team when he came in. But he's under contract for, I think he's got 2 more years under contract. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
but
two more after this one.
Yeah, 2 more, Kipper, and it's a really good contract.
It sure is.
It's a great deal, and he's a really good story, too. His dad grew up here in Ottawa, Jeff, who I know you played against him, Kipper.
And
great
with
family.
him.
Yeah, so he's a great dude, great family. And the thing about small markets like Ottawa, you didn't have to convince a guy to say, hey, this is a great place, because a lot of guys, American guys, his family's from here, but he grew up in Boca Raton, Florida. But he genuinely wanted to be here. And people in Ottawa, there's a little bit of a complex here where people think that, hey, we're Ottawa, we're sick of being kicked around here. Or now you got a guy that was really happy to come here, and he's played well. He's played really well. But to answer your second question, Kipper, on what do I think that went wrong with the team, I just think they're not there yet, and it's particularly down the middle. I mentioned it earlier. You can't win in this league if you're center iceman, and I'll take Stutzler, for example, who's been awesome this year. He's still 21, still learning to play the defensive side of the game. And then Pinto is your number 2 center, who's a rookie. And then you got a couple guys that are still trying to find their way in the league in Castellac and Gambrell. So you're not winning this time of year with that much lack of depth at the middle. And throw in the fact you got a 3rd and 4th string goaltender. And at the end of the day, that start in November really killed them, fellas. They got off to such a bad start. They almost had to play perfect hockey down the stretch. And for those 2 reasons, goaltending, center ice position, you're not going to get it done.
And Josh Norris.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fact. Like losing Norris just put everybody out of sorts. It just puts everybody in a position they're not ready for yet as far as the centers go.
So, Chychrun was one of 2 people who wanted to go there and was a great player. Claude Giroux made the choice this past summer to join Ottawa. How has his first season gone in Ottawa, and do you think he's going to be able to be a contributing player as they do aim for playoffs and beyond?
He's been really good, Bourne. Really good. He's still super competitive. He scored a lot of big goals, and I'll tell you where he's been most important. I think the effect he's had on guys like Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stutzler. He's got that will. He's got that competitiveness. He works super hard. He trains hard in the summer. I just think he's been something Ottawa hasn't had in a long time, and that is a legitimate older guy that's been there and done that. It's one thing when you have older guys, but if they haven't really had success in the league, sometimes younger guys aren't going to take them serious. Well, you got no choice but to take Claude Giroux serious. And I think the leadership effect, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Bourne, has probably been the biggest impact on the group.
You mentioned DJ Smith. Has he solidified himself as a good coach here moving forward? I know there's some people that were in and out on his future. Has he done enough with this group?
So if you talk to people in the city, and if you read Twitter, Kipper, it's like, no, nobody's ever happy. The team's not going to make the playoffs. This is what I'll tell you about my take on DJ Smith. I think the job of a head coach is to motivate players and make them play hard. I think DJ Smith has done a really good job of doing that. The group plays hard. Is he going to be back as coach? I already said that earlier. I don't think so, but I think he's shown that he can coach in this league. I've shown that he can motivate guys. I think he's got a lot of energy. I think for whatever happens here with Ottawa, if for some reason he loses his job, I think he'll be a head coach again. So it's tough, eh? Like he's been here a long time. New ownership is coming, so he's going to be in a tough situation. But I like what he's done with the group. I am probably in the minority, where my belief is if you can get guys to play hard, I think that's 75% of being a really good coach.
Yorkie, will pivot to the most important team to this show, the Toronto Maple Leafs here, and get your thoughts on them rolling 7D since they've made a bunch of trades at the deadline here. How would that make you feel if you're a 5th or 6th guy and you're getting suddenly 13 a game,
or the 7th,
yeah, or the 8th,
or the first,
right?
The first guy doesn't want his minutes being chopped into. You're probably asking the wrong guy that question because I hate it. And whenever I coached, I always made a point when I was coaching junior A hockey. I never ever dressed 7D because I hate it.
Yeah.
It complicates the things for your D coach as far as rolling guys out. Can it work? For sure it can, but you got to have a really good guy back there that knows how to mix and mingle in your things, because you get a guy sitting too long with 7D. You might as well just staple him to the bench because he's going to be useless. You can't. At least I couldn't play 12 minutes and be effective in going out there because I'm cold, legs are bad. But so I hate it. Some guys love it, but I absolutely can't stand it.
You got any Ryan Reynolds updates for us here moving forward?
Well, he just sold his company, Kyper, isn't he? 300 and some million richer right now. He's looking to spend it on something. So. Yeah, no, I'm hearing the same things you guys are. He's latched himself onto the Remington group. There's 3, maybe 4 serious bidders. They took their first rounds of bids last week, I believe, and they're going to try and narrow that down. I think when it's all said and done, Kipper,
Yeah.
I would. It's pretty well known that Bettman wants Reynolds part of any group. So I think if it happens to be another group that wins the bid, I could very well see him jumping over and saying, "Hey guys, I'm still here."
The name we hear now is Graham Roston, who's owns the Hockey News.
Really? Yeah, I heard that one today, and that one came out of nowhere, out of a little late. Like,
yeah.
Hey,
is that a profitable enterprise?
Listen.
What else does he own? Must be other stuff.
There's not a world that I see that you're going to recoup $900 million.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing with the project. As of right now, the amount of acreage at the LeBreton's Flat site, you need more. So whoever does in fact get the team, they're going to negotiate with the NCC, the people that can control the land down there, to try and get more land. Because I'm with you, it's going to be you're going to need more land to get more value out of your investment.
I just want to clarify that I love the Hockey News and always have, and just didn't think you made enough money owning the Hockey News to own pro sports teams.
It's not his money. It would be definitely a conjunction with someone with really deep pockets.
A consortium of many people.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
That will be fascinating to keep an eye on. Obviously, rooting for Reynolds to be involved just from an entertainment perspective. Last one from me, Yorkie, just to get your thoughts on the Leafs as they head into the postseason. I know you keep at least an eye on this Toronto Maple Leafs team. Tampa may be reeling a little bit. Do you think this is the year? Do they look better to you now?
I do. I honestly do. What's the status on Ryan O'Reilly right now, Bourne?
He'll be back before playoffs. I imagine in a couple weeks.
He should be able to get a handful of games in.
Yeah. Well, I love the Achari move, the O'Reilly, Jake McCabe. Like, they brought in some real grit, and O'Reilly too, a guy that I can't say enough good things about. I'm a huge Ryan O'Reilly guy. I love how he plays the game. He plays on the right side of the puck, great on faceoffs. You guys know everything he does. So if there's any year, doesn't this have to be the year? My only concern is goaltending. Are they good enough in nets? Like, that's the one thing. If you best of 7, or the Leafs goalies going to be better than Vasilevsky? That's my only concern. And you guys know as well as I do, it's a game of goalie in the playoffs, right?
We'll continue to get a feel on that one tonight. Leafs in Carolina tomorrow night against the Ottawa Senators. Yorkie, thanks for doing this, man. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the games.
Yeah. Happy St. Paddy's Day, boys.
You too, pal. Buddy. Enjoy some Guinness.
Jason York, co-host of the Coming In Hot Sens podcast. Always a great guest.
He is. Wonderful.
So just to touch on the Ottawa situation, that it's just, it's a ton of money. It's a market that's limited. You can't write off government skyboxes or anything entertainment there. I don't know where the industry is going to be to support something. The last thing I want to see is billionaires go in there, build this huge thing, and then start taking it out on the Ottawa fans to pay back. Right? It's going to get really expensive. They're going to want to recoup some of that money, and it'll come at the expense of jacking it beyond belief.
Yeah. I can see that happening. I hope they have a smaller building. Who was it we talked to that mentioned that? Like have a
15.5.
Yeah. That's what Winnipeg is, right? Like, could they be, 16 or something like that?
But then you got to, if you're having 5,000 less seats in another arena, you got to jack up the price even more, right? If you're
everything is probably lower, right? Your upfront costs are lower. The amount of space you need is not as much. But yeah, no, it's true. It's when they're hot, it would certainly cost more per ticket. Mm-hmm. When they're hot.
Okay, well,
so I got something for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just scrolling Twitter while you guys were talking to Yorkie there, and a fan account put this out today. The name of the account is Willie O'Rylander. So take this, as you will. But they were talking about the 5-on-3 opportunities for the Leafs because the broadcast mentioned it last night.
Is this still 0?
0.
They've had 0. And there's been no other time since 2009, 2010, when the stat has been available, that a team has gone 67 games without a 5-on-3 power play.
You know what's going to happen? Game 1 of the playoffs. They're going to be down a goal in the third period, 5-on-3.
The only other time has happened was New York Islanders with 0 5-on-3 opportunities during the 2020 shortened season of 56 games.
56 games, yeah.
That is a strange one, though.
And you know who leads the league? Is the Winnipeg Jets. How many do you think the Winnipeg Jets have?
They've had half a dozen.
Close.
7?
14.
Oh!
Minnesota has
gravy.
14. Ottawa has 11.
Close. That's not close.
I think he maybe thought you said
did
a
you
dozen.
Did you say a dozen?
Half a
dozen.
Oh, I thought you said a dozen.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
14.
14.
Oh, the Leafs are getting there needs to be an investigation.
No, it's just like
Call Gary.
Someone hasn't committed one infraction on a power play that they've had
I
this year.
call BS.
That's insane. Listen, I'm not like being Mr. Ref or there's a conspiracy here. It's the most popular team in the league. I think they want them to win. I just think it's a little crazy that they haven't had a 5-on-3. It's nuts. Something I thought was worth talking about on the radio.
Yes,
Anyways.
no, 100%. It is a very noteworthy quirk, an oddity.
We got to tee up some YouTube and text questions. It is Friday, but before that, just a thought on Sidney Crosby clinching his 18th point per game season
18
in 18 years.
Points per game seasons. Holy smokes.
And only the guy that's got the all-time lead, I think you might have heard of him, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
He has 19. So he's
can
one
Sid do
behind.
it again.
Yes. Why not?
Well, you know what makes me believe is he's going to decimate a point per game this year.
Yeah.
He's at 82 points in 60-some games. He's not going to get to 100, but it's like, he'll be in the 90s.
That's a remarkable stat to me.
It is. He's a remarkable player.
Yeah, but like it's just consistency.
Doesn't Ovi have like 18 30-goal seasons or something? Like, these guys, how long they've been as good as they've been, it is jarring. Particularly, you look at the elite goal scorers, Austin Matthews last year, it's not a given you come back and you're the same guy as your best season, even in your prime. It's tough to do it over and over and over.
McDavid's 300. He's 4 goals away from 300 for his career.
And probably, 2 goals away from 60, and we're barely discussing that.
Yeah, 3 goals away from 60.
Yeah.
4 away from...
Everyone's like, yeah.
It's a nice number.
60.
But,
So many.
Is he going to say it's just a number?
Oh, he is for sure. There's no chance he's going to celebrate it.
I'm Mr. Grumpy. I don't like things.
Connor, you guys won 10-0
God,
tonight.
you're so jealous.
I don't care. I'm a grump.
No, he's grumpy. He's grumpy.
He's a big
I
time.
like him, though. It's okay.
I
You
like
can
him
be
too.
grumpy. Good.
Yeah, I like
Good.
him too.
Be grumpy until you win a cup. It's okay.
No.
The only thing
no
that
way to
gets him
live a life.
the only thing that gets him non-grumpy, and we're actually very similar in this, fact, is
Nickelback?
Nickelback. Yeah. Anytime I hear a little photo, look at that photograph.
Of all Nickelback songs to reference, you want Photograph?
I like.
You guys want a thought on the Panthers scoring 7 goals in the first period?
Yeah,
Well-
Montreal sucks.
I think it's a.
Like, what happened, eh? What happened? Like, where's the Marty factor here to play with pride?
They rot.
It's a punt now, man. I mean, everyone got what they wanted out of that game. The Panthers got their win. The Canadians forwards got their points. The team got their loss. The only person who didn't benefit was Montreal's goaltender, and the team's trying to lose. So, what are you gonna do?
They're now getting down into Bedard territory here. Like
May 8th.
Yeah, is the draw or the lottery or whatever. I guess it's the draw or whatever you want to call it. But
Do we know if Sportsnet's going to invite everybody in, big party again?
they always do that. They always bring in all the
the
big
pandemic kind of shut it down.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
Well, and also the Leafs' first pick is 32nd overall. They maybe not going to celebrate this one like they did the Matthews draft.
Columbus is still in last. San Jose second last. Anaheim, Chicago, Philadelphia, Montreal is the order.
Hold on. Anaheim's not last?
Nope, they're not last.
They're really bad, too.
They're awful.
Anaheim is just a bad team.
Columbus. Yeah, so by goal differential, like Columbus, who's in last, is minus 77. San Jose's minus 66. The Ducks are minus 102.
When they lose bad.
Oh, yeah.
They just get blown out.
Just filled.
So I think and then I look at Vancouver, who inexplicably got hot. And what would they win? 5 in a row, you were saying, Bourne?
Yeah, 5 straight wins. They've won 7 of their last 10.
Perfect timing.
Why did they hire Tocchet? We talked about this every day on the show for a week, being like, don't do this.
They keep Boudreau, and we just wouldn't let them.
No, we said you should keep them and suck.
Well, they logically should have, and they wanted to, but I think the public roar was just too loud. They just couldn't do it anymore.
They should have brought in
You should have given it to the angel of death, Mike Yeo, who fills in for every head coach he's ever worked with.
Yes, I was trying to come up with a term.
There's
for
always
it,
2
and you
or
nailed
3
it.
teams, no matter what, start getting hot this time of year.
And everyone goes, oh, maybe next year, and then they start the next year 6-4 or something.
Yeah, March hockey for a bad team and September baseball for a bad team are often telling you a lot of lies.
Yeah.
Okay, read some questions, would you?
Oh, okay. Whoa. All right. I don't really have a whole lot here. Okay, this is a good one because we're playing Ottawa. They're playing Ottawa this weekend. Is Ottawa going to let DeBrincat walk or trade him in this offseason?
Well, if I learned anything from Jason York, he called him a nice chip, did he not? Like a trade chip? That's the only thing I got leading me on that one. But again, I think there's still so much for the Ottawa pitcher to unfold. Like the ownership and what they want to spend, how aggressive they are in free agency.
He is a $7 million player for me.
Yeah, guys who score 40 goals get $7 million.
7, 4, 7, 5. You got to be in that ballpark.
Where are the Sens here?
So
he's not going to score 40 goals this year, though.
No, but he has twice
But he's
before.
got the potential to do it. And that's
26.
in the ballpark of $6.5, $7 million. They got to try to sign him.
Yeah. It's just not many guys available. Yeah, so he makes 6.4 right now.
6.4?
Yeah.
So get him a little above 7.25. Is there teams out there that are willing to give him 7.5 or 8 a year?
I don't think he does enough other things to get that much more than what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like goal scoring is valuable, so here's your $7.5 million. But
once you start talking about those type of numbers over 7 or 8 years, now it's like, are you happy here? You like the area? Wife, kids happy? No one's outbidding anybody to the point where it's like, I just couldn't turn it down.
yeah,
It doesn't happen anymore. So
Johnny Gaudreau. Was that no?
took
Although
a pay cut to leave.
That's true. Took a pay cut to leave to play in the worst team in the league. Literally,
So it
the worst
doesn't
team in the
happen
league.
anymore.
He's going to be setting up Connor Bedard next year. It's going to work out for him.
Is there anything more anti-competitive and less inspiring than a guy leaving a good team to play for a bad team for less money?
No.
What are you?
Yeah.
Just what is the vibe going to be the moment on May 8th when Bill Daly announces Arizona Coyotes
Oh, my God.
are the number 1 pick?
I know what it's going to be. Frozen envelope talk. It's going to be
Hair on fire.
It's going to be absolute rigged talk.
See, okay, so let's get it out of the way before
just like
that
the league
happens.
should have done
It's
for the
gonna
Toronto
be-
Maple Leafs.
It's going to
Anyways.
be like
They don't want him in Arizona.
Yeah, they do.
No one wants that superstar playing in front of 4,600 people for 3 years.
But how
you
much-
can't make less money off him than
But
that.
what does that do to their value of their team? Up. They'd love him in Arizona.
only if you are you talking about moving the team or now like you need money to build an arena. There's a chance that their vote will get voted down and they won't get the state money or
Do they still not know if Tempe's approved?
no, they're waiting for
So if it
a vote.
doesn't, then will they relocate?
I don't know what's left.
Because if they'll maybe that's why everyone's talking about Atlanta and Houston, because the league knows that eventually this team's going there. Sure.
There is a
Give
major
Connor Bedard to the
there's a
Houston Oilers.
There's a major public vote that has to surface here with the future of a building.
Do we know if that's before May 8th? That would be fascinating.
Sammy, Google
They're
it real
not
quick.
sending them to
What am I
Arizona to
Googling?
rot there for 3 years.
What am I Googling?
I don't know.
Okay, so we don't have time for that.
Coyotes
Tempe
vote.
Arena vote.
Okay, Tempe Arena vote. I'm Googling.
But if it's rigged in any direction, because people are going to say rigged almost no matter where he goes.
Is there a chance that he could pull a card that says, "Don't draft me, I ain't going"?
Yeah. I would say that. I would say it loudly and not in through backdoor channels. I would say it in media interviews.
Here's the problem
Not going.
on that. I need a plan B.
What do you mean?
Where,
For
if he doesn't
Bedard?
go to Arizona, where does he go?
Literally anywhere that isn't Arizona, and that's better?
No, I'm saying if he gets drafted by Arizona
Yeah.
and they pick him
Yeah.
and he says, "I'm not going,"
Right.
what's plan B?
For Arizona? Oh,
No, for
just not
Bedard.
playing. Just not playing.
He's
Yeah, yeah.
telling them, don't draft me, I'm not going. They draft him anyways.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I'm
you-
going
what?
to play for Metalurg and getting conscripted into the war and fighting Ukraine at
I'm
that
going
point.
back-
I'm just not playing for Arizona.
I'm going back.
I'm joking, by the way.
I'm going back for my fourth year in junior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gonna
Over
play
I'm
the
going
World-
to score 1,000 points.
World Junior again. May 16th is the vote.
8 days after?
8 days after.
Crisis. They're going to get him, and then their vote's not going to go through, and they're not going to have a rink, and then he's going to be stuck, and they're going to relocate, and he's going to be in the middle of the circus.
Are there
no.
rinks in the mall anywhere in Arizona?
There's a couple of outdoor rinks in the winter. They keep cold. It's pretty impressive.
There's a rink there's an indoor rink in a mall in Edmonton. Maybe Edmonton will win the draft lottery somehow, like they always do.
Wow, now I'm fascinated because I think I should put a poll up. If you're going to claim rigged, where do you think the league would rig Connor Bedard to go?
That's
Sammy
a good
says
question.
Arizona.
Chicago.
Philly?
Yeah, I don't
Chicago.
think all these destinations kind of stink. I don't think there's one that's going to really.
That's a big market. Philly be nice too.
Love Chicago. I would love Philly. Columbus, I'm okay with.
San Jose, no, thank you.
Don't put him on the West Coast for me. I need him
Anaheim,
selfishly,
no, thank you.
totally selfishly here. I'd like to watch him play before
I think-
midnight.
Montreal would probably be pretty good for the league.
Ooh.
I didn't want to put that one out in the universe, but it would probably be pretty great if they got him. Okay, this is a two-part question from SJ in North York. Over/under playoff games at 0.5 for Wayne Simmons. And then if you were coach, how close would he be playing on your depth chart? Like one bad loss away or what?
I want to say this respectfully to Wayne Simmons, who's had a great career and is a person I admire, but 0% chance. Under negative games
Just-
somehow.
He's just not in the plans. And if
When
it's-
did he play
it's
hockey
like
last?
David Rittich when they traded for him for a third rounder. If you get that far, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're talking the guys ahead of him on the depth chart are you get O'Reilly in, and then it's Holmberg, and then it's McMahon, and then it's Steves.
And he's not playing. Think about that.
If he's not playing hockey currently.
No, what I'm saying, yeah. Well, what I'm
It's
saying
been
is
months.
like, how many? He's played 3 games in 2 months,
How many has he played this year? Has he been in 10 hockey games
and he
in
won't.
22, 23?
He won't play for the Marlies.
Right.
He won't go down and
They
play
are
games there.
courteously allowing him to collect a paycheck, be around. Like I understand it's possible he could get into the lineup. I
To me,
understand
it's
that.
strange.
I wonder if he'll get in down the stretch as they rest guys.
Even the thought that, like, I could hit a couple of injuries, you could be back in there. Play games. Just play games.
Yeah, he should get in there.
I don't think it's as crazy. Like, you don't think it's as crazy as Maroon and Perry are acting like D-holes, and he runs out there and fights one of them?
D-holes.
Like, I don't think.
No, it's not impossible.
Like, I don't think it would be
Gotta
like.
stay sharp, guys.
Yeah.
You need to be playing hockey now. Are we getting played off the stage here? Is it time?
It seems like we started a little earlier than we usually do, but
We'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, we'll take it.
We're
it's
getting
Friday.
run off the show.
Yeah,
how much time do I have?
Hook. Oscar Hook just came out.
I don't know. Like the normal amount, we usually go to 454,
I
right?
don't know. Do I have to thank
55,
everybody now?
chum.
Yeah.
Huh?
Do I have to thank everybody now?
You need to thank everyone.
Justin Williams,
Great guy.
Doug McLean,
Yep.
Jason York, Derek Brandeo, David Sisboomba, Sammy, Justin, Nick. Have a great weekend, everybody. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance, okay? We want to hear from you.
Leafs talk tonight following the final whistle with myself and Brent Gunning tonight.
Give me a score tonight, Sammy.
Low scoring match again. I'm saying 3-2 Leafs.
Leafs win.
4-2. Empty netter Leafs.
2-1.
Okay.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.